Desperate choices, Afghan fathers selling children amid unprecedented hardship. In Afghanistan, a humanitarian crisis has escalated to alarming levels, with reports indicating that 3 in 4 people are unable to meet their basic needs. The economic landscape has crumbled following the Taliban's return to power, leading many families to make unimaginable sacrifices to survive. Fathers across the nation are facing dire circumstances, often forced to sell their children to secure food and shelter for the remaining family members. These heartbreaking decisions stem from a combination of severe poverty, unemployment, and the collapse of social services that once provided a safety net for the vulnerable. In a village in northern Afghanistan, a father named Ahmad shared his story of despair. With no income and rising food prices, Ahmad was left with few options. "I cannot provide for my family. I have to feed my other children," he said, his voice trembling as he recounted the day he sold his eldest daughter for a sum that barely covered a month's rent. This transaction, though fraught with emotional turmoil, was seen as a necessary act of survival. Reports from various regions highlight similar stories. Fathers are selling their children in exchange for money or livestock, often to strangers or distant relatives. This has raised urgent ethical concerns about exploitation, as vulnerable families are increasingly targeted by those looking to profit from their desperation. As the economic situation worsens, many parents are losing hope. The United Nations has warned that nearly 20 million people face acute food insecurity, with children being the most affected. The humanitarian aid that once flowed into the country has significantly diminished, further exacerbating the crisis. Aid organizations are struggling to provide assistance due to international sanctions and a lack of funding, leaving families to fend for themselves. The emotional toll on these fathers is profound. Many express feelings of guilt and shame for having to make such choices. They grapple with the fear that their children may not be treated well after being sold. A father named Besa, who recently sold his son, expressed his anguish. "I did what I thought was best for my family, but I will carry this pain forever. I wish things were different, but there is no way out of this situation." International observers have condemned the situation, calling for urgent action to address the humanitarian needs in Afghanistan. They emphasize the need for comprehensive support that encompasses food security, healthcare, and economic opportunities for families. However, the political climate remains complex, and many aid organizations are navigating significant barriers to deliver assistance effectively. The plight of Afghan families is not just a statistic, it is a human tragedy unfolding daily. With each child sold, the family's hope for a better future diminishes. The situation demands immediate attention and action from the international community to prevent further deterioration of the humanitarian landscape. As winter approaches, the urgency for assistance grows. Families are bracing for the harsh season ahead, with many already lacking adequate heating and clothing. The cold weather will only intensify the struggles faced by those unable to provide for their children. The heartbreaking reality is that many fathers are caught in a cycle of desperation, where survival often comes at an unbearable cost. As the world watches, the stories of these fathers serve as a poignant reminder of the human cost of conflict and economic collapse. The decisions they are forced to make are not just about survival, they reflect a systemic failure that has left families vulnerable and without options. The ongoing crisis in Afghanistan calls for a renewed focus on humanitarian aid, economic support, and long-term solutions that prioritize the well-being of children and families.